So here I just use tacks to secure this down to the table. I don't use tape or glue for this because I'm not routing all the way through. Okay. So it's not going to come loose. I'm not routing all the way through. So I have my template here. Okay, so now I've got that balsa ready to carve out the grid on the CNC, and I'm going to just kind of walk through what I have to do here. Initialize the machine. This puts it in the home position. So once it's in the home position, we zero out the clear all offsets, and that is done. So now I'm going to increase the speed of it and bring it to the home of the XYZ point. Okay, so it's just real simple. I'm just walking this thing to the point. I want to put the bit right there in that hole. That's where it starts from. Okay, right there. So that's the X, Y, and so points, which are just fancy words for this way and that way. But now I want to set the Z. The Z is where the bit starts above the work. And do that by putting a little piece of paper under there, lowering it down, adjusting the increments finer and finer. Right there. We have that where we want it, so then now we set the zero all. Done. Done. Load the file. Here. And that is, yeah, the right side. I have two different files, one left and one right. Open that. Hit run. And when I press here, it will start, but I first have to turn on the machine. So that goes on and on for about 25 minutes to do that, and I'll catch you on the flip side. This is my vacuum table, and I have it hooked up to my shop vac. What it does is it holds this down, because when you're routing out the cavity to receive the balsa, as you route it, it releases tension, and the thin, around, I do it to about 7 or 0.7 millimeters veneer left on the top. So that will tend to cup up as you're doing it, so it's not going to cut evenly. So you need a vacuum press clamp to hold this down. See, I can't slide that off. It's holding it down really good. If I go here, yeah. So that's that. I just made my own out of some melamine and just drilled holes and put a little maze through here so the air can escape and everything. So anyway, that's that. Then I made the cutout here that I want to route out. And when I route it out, this will fit in here perfectly. It's really a good idea if you're going to get into double tops to get a CNC machine, learn how to use it, because I don't really see any other way to do this without a CNC machine. So, but I mean, if this part here, you can you can cut out on a bandsaw and put in Nomax or something, but I'm not a big fan of Nomax, and I prefer the Balsa. It has a more organic sound. I probably wouldn't make double tops if I had to make a Nomax. There. So, you're asking, how do I adjust this? And I'll tell you, I have a feeler gauge here. This is 0.66 millimeters. We're aiming for 6 millimeters. 0.6 millimeters thick membrane on the top. So what I do is I put this feeler gauge here and the router sitting on here. And it's been a while since I've done this. So I'm just going to put this router bit on top of the feeler gauge. And that's that. It's one side. I got to move the clamp to get up in there. Yeah. So now I'm going to reverse the clamp, put it over here, and then rat out the upper bout. Oh. Now, just want to inspect everything. Got it. Everything looks good. There we have it. Let's see what that came out to. Okay, so this is 2.35 millimeters thick, and minus 64, 164. Hold on. Let me get the old calculator. No, I just need a pencil and a piece of paper. .35 minus 164. 7.1. Well, there you go. 7.1, perfect, because, you know, I wanted it 6, but you'll probably end up sanding off a 1/10 of a millimeter when the thing is done, so perfect. So that's that operation. This will, with any luck, just drop right in there. That's one of the beautiful things about a CNC machine. You can cut this stuff out. You can cut out the form to route this out, and it fits in really well. So otherwise, you know, on the first ones I did it, I glued these strips in. That's not a good way to do it, by hand, you know. So anyway, that's that. Let's see. I'll work on in the CNC world. There's a thing called onion skin, and what I did with this balsa is, you can see it's I don't know, in inches. They sell it in inches, but I can never, some things I do in millimeters, others inches. So I think this is 4.7 millimeters thick. So I forget the depth of this cut actually in the program I made, but it doesn't go all the way through. If it did go all the way through, a lot of these little things would break. The little grid pattern would break, and which isn't good. And then you'd have to tape it down. So what I do is I get a thicker piece, I cut almost all the way through and leave an onion skin, and then I glue these in backwards onto into the recess here. And then I put it through the planer or the sander and sand it off, and it all comes off. So put a new blade on my X-Acto knife. I mean my scalpel. I don't know how they operate on people with these blades. They're so dull. So I just need to kind of cut this center part loose from here, so I'm just going to kind of go around. And on this design, different from the last one, is I just used a slightly larger bit, a 2mm bit, to cut these grid patterns out. And before I had a 1.6 bit. And so it just made a little more air in between the grids, which is I wanted. There. Okay. So I gotta get rid of some of that. The next step is to glue these in, and I ran these through the sander. Usually I don't, but this grade of balsa was a little heftier, so it could survive the sander. Okay, so I'm going to glue these in. This one on this side. This has some where it didn't sand off completely. But that's okay, because once I glue these in, I'm going to sand it all down so they'll all come out. I don't care if they're there now. Okay. I use polyurethane glue, Gorilla Glue, for this. I don't like epoxy. What I like about the Gorilla Glue is probably what people don't like about it, is that it slightly foams up and it will glue all the little slats really nicely. Epoxy just kind of goes down and settles to the lowest point. This will Gorilla Glue on every other application. I hate it because it just foams all over the place and it's a mess. But in this case, it's perfect. And unfortunately, I have to saturate this squeegee with this glue, and you end up wasting a lot, but you know, in the price of a guitar, it's it's nothing. I love these surface planes. It's the best thing I ever bought for the shop, besides my drum sander and bandsaw. It's important to have one really flat surface that you can count on, you know, so. Okay, these are somewhat delicate. Looks good. And one of the important things, I think, when you make a double top is what you're doing is you're cutting out a recess and you're lightening it up as well as stiffening it up. I think that having these go at a 45-degree angle really stiffens the top across the grain. I've seen guys on these forums that just drill holes, you know, in the top and then call it that a double top. But just drilling a hole, you're not reinforcing the grain across the top, and you're just making it way less stiff and light, and it just it's a crazy idea to me. So this way you're actually taking out wood and applying a grid system across the grain, which is what I think you're looking for. We're looking for to do. So okay, I got that one. Set that aside. So a fresh piece of wax paper again. And a little more crazy, or Gorilla Glue. I get these little paint rollers at Home Depot. They're $2.50 for two. You can't really reuse them, you just toss them out when you're finished, unfortunately. So, you know, double tops are kind of involved, you know. It's way harder to make a double top guitar than it is a regular guitar, but I feel the benefits of a double top in most cases outweigh a traditional guitar these days. And it just seems everybody who's anybody is playing a double top. And I used to resist double tops because in the days of Nomax, because I just never thought, I thought my traditional guitars were louder and better than the Nomax double tops I made. Maybe not other people, but the ones I made, I wasn't that impressed with them. So I never really pursued it much. Then I got into the Balsa thing and quickly discovered that that's kind of like the way to go. And I really heard something I liked in it, where I didn't hear it in the Nomax, to tell you the truth. And if that's what it was, I would not make double tops if I had to make Nomax. This, to me, the Balsa has a more organic sound to it that I like. The Nomax just has like an airy, kind of plasticky sound, and I just don't like it. Okay, time to put this thing in the oven. Okay, so just to get a idea. This is 2.34 millimeters, 2.25. Okay, so our goal is about 6.6 millimeters. Turn on the horrible vacuum. Turn on the sander. Because it was a little too forceful. It was sliding out a little. Tends to slide off of this soft, smooth backing board, and the way to deal with that is to kind of hold it this way, down, and this way. Clean it off a little. This thing at the mop section of Home Depot, I think. The cleaning section. Another turn. That's 1.2 millimeters. Ah, look, 1.21. I can't believe it. You can trust your eye a lot with this. Let's see what it is. 1 point. So we have a discrepancy of about 1/10 of a millimeter from side to side, which I don't like. One way to deal with that is to run it through opposite. By opposite, I mean turn this around so that each side, what it cut on this side is now going to cut on the other side. So, or something like that. So try that. Let's see how it turns out. Let's see if that corrected it. I don't know. This side, 1.12. This side, 1.5. 0.05. Didn't correct it. So I'm going to run it through a couple more times without adjusting it. See what happens. Put it through the opposite again. See what that did. .05, 1.03. That's close enough for me. And let's see what it is in the middle. 1.04. So I'd call that perfect. So you just run it through a few times without adjusting it, and it evens out nicely. So anyhow, now that we know that, I'm going to take it down to 0.6 or thereabouts. You know, we're not building the space shuttle, and we're not going to orbit the Earth on this thing. So 0.02 millimeters is like nothing in the guitar making universe. See what that is? That's a very close tolerance for guitars, I'd say, and I wouldn't worry about it at all. It's 84 now. See how close we can get it to 60.6. I'd say we're at 67. No, 83. That's what it was. So it didn't take off much. 84, 84, 83, 84. Put down a little more. I think I didn't turn the dial. Or did I? I don't know. Over there? I was going to get a jet, but then a few folks, Raymond, Johnny, and a few other people suggested the Supermax. So I looked into it, and I just think it's a better built machine than the jet. Slightly, I think $100 more. It weighs a ton. Two guys, pretty, you know, I mean, I'm not super strong, but we couldn't lift this up onto the stand. We had to block lift it up, step lift it up. So, okay, I'd say we're there just about. No, 72. 69, 73, 72, depending on how hard you press the calipers down, 72. So I want to take off 10 more, 1/10 of a millimeter more. This should do it. I mean, it's like paper, you know. $64, yeah, you know, not too bad. 65. I'm gonna go with that because I'm gonna sand out some of the ridge lines and stuff that the grooves that the sandpaper created. So I think we're good to go with that. And I tend to, you know, I don't have a set thickness for these tops. Obviously you can't, you don't have much leeway to sand on the top. And I have made the mistake of doing that and sanding through the top. With a regular traditional guitar, you don't have to worry about that, but on these it's really, it's best to get it precise now and not later. So sanding off 0.5 millimeters on the back is no big deal, but I don't want to have to do that on the top. I don't want to have to sand any further on the top than I have to. So that's that step. So we just made the back veneer. So see how easy it is when you have a Supermax. So the final episode in creating a double top is to glue the inner veneer on. So the inner veneer is around 6.6 millimeters, and the top, including the balsa insert, is should be about 1.8 millimeters. So that's going to give us a total of about 2.4 millimeters. And from there, you can kind of fine tune it, you know, depending on what kind of bracing you use and stuff like that. So sometimes mine have gone down to 2.2, 2.3, 2.4 if you want a brighter sound, 2.3 if you want a more mellow, warmer sound. So, all right, so I'm just going to apply this. This is pretty straightforward. The thing is, this Gorilla Glue is kind of expensive, you know, and it takes a lot to make double tops. But, you know, I'd rather enough glue is on here than not enough. The glue adds a substantial amount of weight to the top. You know, if you were to take a measuring cup of epoxy, I don't know, I've never measured it, but I can imagine it weighs like water, you know. It's applying that kind of weight to the top. When you try to take away this weight, and so the glue thing is really important. Not to get too much on, you know, but enough on to make sure it's going to hold. So I'd say that's pretty good. Okay. I like to put this down and then place the top on top of it this way. And I slightly offset the center line, because it's not a good idea to have a center line right on top of the other center line. So I just offset it slightly Okay, that's it. I'm going to stick it in the oven. Throw this stuff away. And the rest is pretty straightforward. I don't think you need to see me put it in the vacuum press again. So that's that. Voila.